Part 11. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 101. After driving for 30 minutes, we arrived at a hospital on the outskirts of the city. After eating 3 candies and a small piece of chocolate, and resting for such a long time, Josie's body recovered a lot and she no longer had to carry it. Li Jie helped her to the emergency department. Only emergency calls were made at night. After registering, paying, and queuing up, luckily there weren't many emergency rooms. After waiting for more than 20 minutes, it was Josie's turn. The person on duty in the emergency department is a female doctor named Shen who is in her 40s. She is slightly fat and has a very good attitude. While checking the injuries on Josie's face, she asked about the cause of the injuries. It's not a big problem. Just apply some medicine and there shouldn't be any scars after the examination, the female doctor said. Shouldn't there be any scars? Li Jie couldn't help but said, Dr. Shen, just to be on the safe side, I'd rather trouble you to prescribe some scar removal ointment for her. The female doctor glanced at him and said, actually, it's not necessary, but if you are worried, I will prescribe a tube of scar removal cream for you. After saying that, she smiled and said to Josie, little girl, your boyfriend is really interested in you. But it's no wonder, you are so good looking. It would be a pity if you really have some scars. Girlfriend. Li Jie glanced at Josie. The coat she was wearing was still his. No wonder the female doctor misunderstood. But sister, why don't you explain it? Not even a word. Li Jie walked out of the hospital with Josie carrying the medicine. It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Get in the car. Josie got into the back seat again, and Li Jie also got into the driver's seat. As he started the car, he said, Ziu, I just heard from the doctor that your hypoglycemia is probably caused by excessive dieting. Even if you want to lose weight, you can't harm your body. Besides, you are not fat at all. Thank you, Li Jie, Josie smiled, with an indescribably complicated expression. Li Jie felt that Josie might have something on his mind, but he didn't want to worry too much. A kind reminder was enough. The two of them didn't talk much all the way. When they returned to school, Li Jie stopped the car in front of the 4th floor of the school. Tsuyu, why don't you call and ask your roommate to pick you up? No, I can do it myself. Josie glanced at him. Li Jie, I'm really troubling you tonight. Li Jie smiled and said, how many times have you said thank you? Don't be too polite. Not to mention that we know each other, even if we are strangers, I can't just ignore it when we encounter a situation like today. Li Jie is telling the truth. He is a person who is willing to lend a helping hand when others are in danger if he is able to do so. Of course, because Josie is a beauty, it is inevitable that she will receive some preferential treatment. Li Jie, you are such a good person, Josie said seriously. Li Jie. He really regretted helping her. Looking at the fact that I've been busy all night, please don't send me the good guy card. Josie was amused by Li Jie's helpless expression. By the way, how much did the medicine cost? I don't have any money now. I'll give it to you when I have money. No need, it didn't cost much. No, I can't let you help me and put money into it. Okay, seeing that Josie insisted on paying back the money, Li Jie didn't refuse too much. What's your phone number? Ziu, what's wrong with your face? As soon as Josie returned to the dormitory, Lily was frightened when she saw the gauze on her face. Josie subconsciously touched the gauze on her face. It's nothing serious. I just fainted due to low blood sugar and wiped my face on the ground. What, Ziu, you fainted? This is not a big deal. Lily's face changed when she heard this, and she quickly asked anxiously, when did you faint? Where did you faint? Is anyone helping you? Is there anyone who can help you? Is your facial expression serious? Josie comforted her and said, "Don't worry. It's all right. I happened to meet a kind-hearted classmate who helped me and sent me to the hospital. The injuries on my face were also treated." "Kind classmate? Who is it? Do you know him?" Lily asked curiously. Josie glanced at Tanhui, who was reading at the desk, smiled and said nothing. Seeing that Josie refused to say anything, Lily became more interested. "Ziu, who is the boy who helped you? A hero saves a beauty, he won't like you, right? How do you know it's a boy?" "You won't know until you guess it." Li Jie returned to the dormitory and found He's Higang smoking alone. "What, are you worried?" He's Higang shook his head, hesitated and said, "Jizi, can you lend me some money?" "Okay. How much do you want to borrow?" Li Jie said happily. "Lend me 500. He's Higang originally wanted to borrow 1,000, but was too embarrassed to borrow that much. "Jizi, when I have money, I will pay it back to you immediately." Li Jie took out his wallet, counted 500 and gave it to He's Higang, and then asked, "Brother Gang, how are you and Zhang Yu doing?" He's Higang is a relatively frugal person, and his lack of money must be because of Zhang Yu. Since their last friendship, He's Higang and Zhang Yu have become friends. The two of them often meet for dinner and so on. Zhang Yu is a bit aloof from He's Higang. Sometimes he is very enthusiastic towards him, and even pretends that he has no intention of touching and holding hands with him. Sometimes he is very cold to him, and does not pay much attention to him for a day or two. He really dislikes He's Higang. Straight men hang to death. Although Li Jie saw it, he couldn't help but remind He's Higang that interfering with other people's feelings was always a thankless task. It's not bad. He's Higang was obviously a little insincere. "Jizi, it's Zhang Yu's birthday and I want to give her a gift. You are more experienced than me. Can you help me give some ideas on what to give her?" "Zhang Yu celebrates her birthday again?" Li Jie almost couldn't help but spit out these words. Ever since Li Jie and Xiao Qiao got together, Zhang Yu had always hinted to Li Jie, secretly or overtly, that he must repay her as a matchmaker and a great hero, so Li Jie gave her another movie worth over 1,000 yuan. Of new mobile phones. Not long after, Zhang Yu said it was her birthday and asked Li Jie if he had time to come. Li Jie naturally understood what she meant, so he gave her another red envelope worth 500 yuan. As a result, Zhang Yu even thought the money was small and joked, "It's only 500, Li Jie, you are a bit stingy." Zhang Yu's insatiable greed is really disgusting to Li Jie. If he didn't want to offend a villain like her, he really wouldn't tolerate it again and again. After all, many relationships have died at the hands of evil-minded best friends. "You want to confess your love to Zhang Yu?" "Yes, I have this plan." He's Higang nodded. "Jizi, do you think I have a high chance of success?" Li Jie didn't speak, but just thought in his heart, "You have a greater chance of confessing to a girl you don't know than confessing to Zhang Yu." He didn't understand why He's Higang fell in love with Zhang Yu. Is it true that the more straight a man is, the more he likes green tea? Please recommend, collect, and support. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 102. Xiao Qiao promised to ignore Li Jie for a few days, but he kept his promise and actually avoided him for 5 or 6 days. It wasn't until the afternoon of the 26th, during the physical examination, that Li Jie saw her again. The stadium of Hongqian Normal University is very large, covering an area of tens of thousands of square meters, with east and west stands and more than 5,000 seats. There is a competition venue consisting of a 400-meter plastic track and a standard football field. At this time, the stadium was bustling with students coming to take the physical test. As soon as Li Jie came to Xiao Qiao's tourism management team, he immediately attracted the attention of many people. The girls were okay. Most of the looks they looked at Li Jie were just curiosity and interest, while a few boys looked at him less friendly. He was obviously hostile to Li Jie, the guy who stole the most beautiful girl in their major. "This classmate, what major are you in? You don't seem to be in our major, right?" a boy said in a joking tone. Li Jie glanced at the boy and ignored him. He said hello to Zhang Qian, Bai Wei, and several other girls he knew. Then he walked to Xiao Jiao and put his arms around her. "Husband," Xiao Jiao glanced sideways at him, obviously not in a high mood. "Why, are you worried about failing the physical test?" It's okay. When I run 800 meters, I'll run with you," Li Jie said with a smile. "Husband, you are so kind." Xiao Jiao smiled immediately upon hearing this, turned around and hugged him actively. The boys who originally disliked Li Jie were forced to stuff a lot of dog food, and looked at him with even more jealous eyes. "Jizi, don't get too bored here." At this time his higang ran over. "Your lung capacity is only one less than yours, so hurry up and get there." "Qiao Bao, I'll go over first." "I'll come back after you run 800 meters. Li Jie and his higang ran back to the Chinese major team together. They first measured their vital capacity, and then tested their weight, grip strength index, 50-meter running and other events one by one. With Li Jie's physical fitness, the physical test was extremely easy for him. When running the 50-meter dash, he even ran for 6 seconds. The teacher in charge of the test asked him if he wanted to join the school's track and field team. When it came time to run 1000 meters, Li Jie ran again because Xiao Jiao's 800-meter test was about to begin. In the 800-meter test, there were 6 people in a group. Xiao Jiao stood on the outermost track. When he saw Li Jie coming, he smiled and waved to him, showing a small tiger tooth. The teacher in charge of the test was a strong young man in his late 20s with a very sunny temperament. When he saw Li Jie, he smiled and said, "Li Jie, if you don't want to test the 1000 meters, why are you here for the girls?" "Teacher son, are you in charge of the test?" Li Jie knew the teacher in charge of the test. His name was Sun Sheng, and he also taught physical education in Li Jie's class, and Li Jie had a good relationship with him. "My girlfriend is testing here, and I'm here to run with her." "Running with you?" Sun Sheng glanced at Xiao Jiao and nodded. After Li Jie said hello to Sun Sheng, he came to Xiao Jiao and got into the starting position with her. The other 5 girls who took the test all looked at Li Jie. As Sun Sheng blew the whistle, Li Jie, Xiao Jiao, and 5 other girls ran out together. On a 400-meter plastic track, you have to run 2 laps for 800 meters. During the first lap, Xiao Jiao was okay, his speed was not slow, and he even reached the second position at one point. But starting from the second lap, she did not have enough physical strength, and her speed dropped significantly. She was first overtaken by the girl in third place, and then she was overtaken by the girls in fourth and fifth place one after another. She ran in the last lap. The little girl in the seat is gradually catching up with her. Li Jie couldn't see it. Xiao Jiao's physical strength was already poor, and he exerted his strength too early. Now it was obvious that he couldn't run. If he continued like this, he would definitely fail. So with half a lap left, he reached out and took Xiao Jiao's hand. Xiao Jiao looked at him, and the meaning in his eyes was, "Is this okay?" Li Jie looked at her, nodded, then pulled her and chased forward, first overtaking the last girl he had just chased, and then catching up with the fourth girl. However, Li Jie did not overtake her. Instead, he stayed in this position and pulled Xiao Jiao across the finish line. As soon as he finished running, Xiao Jiao was so tired that he threw himself into Li Jie's arms. Sun Sheng announced the test results. The first girl ran 3 minutes and 28 seconds, which was excellent, and the rest also passed. The last girl ran 4 minutes and 34 seconds, just passing. Xiao Jiao ran for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. "Teacher, she cheated. It was her boyfriend who dragged her away, didn't you care?" The last girl pointed at Xiao Jiao and said to the teacher dissatisfied. "Hey, why do you owe so much? What does it have to do with you whether I cheated or not?" Seeing the other party looking for trouble, Xiao Jiao immediately stopped. "I can't bear to see you cheating, so I'm going to take care of it," the girl replied. "Teacher, do you still care?" "You forget it. We were cheating in the first place." Li Jie hugged Xiao Jiao tightly and stopped her. "She's not in your class, right?" "No, it should be from class 3. There are no people in our class who would do anything like this." Sun Sheng first glanced at Li Jie and Xiao Jiao, and then said to the girl, "I will record the test results truthfully, so you don't have to worry, classmate." "Teacher Sun, let's go first," Li Jie greeted Sun Sheng. Sun Sheng also nodded to him. After Li Jie took Xiao Jiao away, Xiao Jiao said worriedly, "Hubby, the teacher won't invalidate my grades, right? It's all that girl's fault. I was so angry just now that I wanted to hit her." Li Jie glanced at the arrogant president and smiled to himself. Don't look at how Xiao Jiao is buzzing now and seems to be very powerful. In fact, she is just a person who relies on her power to show off her talents. She is extremely timid when she is alone. It's just a coward. "Don't worry, you passed." "I passed? How can you be so sure?" Xiao Jiao still didn't believe it. "I have a good relationship with Teacher Sunday," he nodded to me just to reassure me. If he hadn't known Sun Sheng and had a good relationship with him, Li Jie wouldn't have dared to drag Xiao Jiao away. Otherwise, if you dared to cheat openly, the invigilator would have the guts to invalidate your results on the spot. "Husband, thank you," Xiao Jiao said with a smile. Not far away on the other side, Zhou Ziyu was also taking part in the standing long jump test with classmates from the same major. After 5 or 6 days, the scratches on her face were almost healed. Noticing that Zhou Ziyu was looking at Xiao Jiao, Huo Lily said with a smile, "They are different from us. They have boyfriends to accompany them. When they can't run anymore, their boyfriends will pull her away. Ziyu, if you are envious, just find a boyfriend as soon as possible. There are so many people chasing you anyway, so you just pick the one you like first, so that you will have someone to accompany you when you take the next physical test." Ran. Zhou Ziyu looked away, smiled, and said, "Stop talking about me, Lily. How are you and that Yang Hao? Isn't he chasing you?" When Zhou Ziyu mentioned Yang Hao, Huo Lily's smile immediately faded. "Don't mention him, I get annoyed when I hear his name." "Ziyu, you think I'm not that bad, right? Why am I attracted by that fat guy?" Thanks to Wanyan6 for the many rewards, and thanks to the young man who is pursuing his dreams and finding fate for the 1500-point reward. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 103. After entering December, the weather becomes colder and colder. The students all put on warm clothes such as windbreakers, sweaters, and cold-proof clothes. When it was cloudy and rainy every day, it was even more humid and cold, and they even had to wear down jackets. The atmosphere on campus has also become tense, because the final exam is about a month away, and many students are busy reviewing and preparing for the exam. The study room in the library is so full every day that it is hard to find one. Li Jie also occupied 2 seats in the library. In the evening, he and Xiao Jiao would review their homework in the study room. In fact, it was Li Jie who was supervising Xiao Jiao's review. He spent most of the time coding. However, Li Jie will also spend a small amount of time reading. After all, he doesn't want to fail 1 or 2 subjects in the first semester of his freshman year. After winning the first place in the monthly new book monthly ticket list in November, Li Jie slowed down the update speed of Martial Arts Without Limits, basically maintaining 2 updates a day of 6,000 words, and only occasionally adding 1 or 2 chapters. Because after a month of explosive updates, the archives in his hand have been almost exhausted. In November alone, he updated more than 150 chapters, with a total of more than 450,000 words. On average, he updated 5 chapters a day, with more than 15,000 words. Several good recommendations have been added one after another, especially after being heavily promoted on the home page last week. The results have skyrocketed. At this time, the collection of martial arts without limits has exceeded 200,000, with more than 25,000 orders each, and the first order reached more than 30,000. Li Zhe's royalties for November were more than 185,000. In 2007, authors who earned nearly RMB 200,000 a month in royalties did not have much at their starting point. Li Zhe can get so much mainly because his subscription score is high, which is equivalent to the level of a great master. In addition, there are enough updates, and the number of words updated in 1 month is equivalent to that of an average author in 2 or 3 months. By the way, there is also a reward of 10,000 yuan for the first place in the new book monthly ticket. Therefore, although the subscriptions for martial arts without limits are still rising, you won't be able to get so much next month, because it will drop as soon as the update is released. It would be good to get more than 100,000. At around 7 o'clock in the evening on the 5th, Li Zhe took his computer to the study room again, but found that Xiao Qiao had not come yet. So he left the study room again, went to the hall outside, and called her. "Qiao Bao, you won't come tonight again?" "Honey, I don't want to move anymore, just let me rest for the night." "Okay," Xiao Qiao said coquettishly. "Okay. Then you can stay in the dormitory. Remember not to just play on the computer, but also read a book." "Okay, I get it. Husband, you are the best, I love you. Just study hard by yourself." Xiao Qiao smiled and hung up the phone, picked up the Coke beside him and took a sip, then leaned on the bed and hugged his netbook. I happily continued to watch the drama. Study. It is impossible to learn. Li Zhe smiled and put away his phone. He was already used to the president's lazy and cheating behavior. Returning to the study room, sitting in his seat, turning on the computer, Li Zhe began to code. Speaking of which, there were fewer people in the classroom at night, so why did Li Zhe go to the study room to code? First, the desks and chairs in the classroom are too hard, making it uncomfortable to sit for a long time. However, the large desks and soft chairs with backrests in the study room are much more comfortable. This is why students like to review in the study room. Second, as the weather gets colder and colder, the classroom becomes very cold at night. There are more people in the study room, which is relatively warmer than the classroom. Li Zhe had just coded a few hundred words when a boy came over and glanced at the empty seat on the back. "Classmate, is there anyone in this seat?" Li Zhe didn't even raise his head. "There's someone there. My girlfriend will be here soon." It's not that he doesn't want to give up his seat to others for a while, but once you give up your seat, it's not that easy to get back. Besides, there was a pile of books placed on Xiao Qiao's seat, and it was impossible for the boy not to guess that the seat was already occupied. Not long after the boy left, another student came over. Li Zhe subconsciously said, "This position is occupied." "Li Zhe, are you here too?" The voice was nice and familiar. Li Zhe looked up and found that the person coming was Zhou Ziyu. She wore a pair of jeans on her lower body, a thick long windbreaker on her upper body, and a blue scarf around her neck, wrapping herself tightly. However, even if it is so thick, the figure is still slender and beautiful. "Ziyu, are you also coming from the study room to review?" "Well, the exam is coming up in a month, so I need to review as soon as possible." Zhou Ziyu said and looked around. However, it seems that this place is full and there is no room left. Why don't you sit with Xiao Qiao first? She won't be here tonight, so it's empty anyway. Li Jie stood up. Okay, thank you. Zhou walked inside and sat down, then took off her scarf and windbreaker, revealing the white sweater underneath and her perfect figure. Li Jie couldn't help but stare at her chest for a second or two. This must be a C+. Phew, what are you thinking about? He quickly looked away and landed on Zhou's innocent and charming face. Is the injury on your face all healed? The cheeks that had been injured before were still delicate and white, with no scars left at all. Well, everything's fine, Zhou nodded. Thanks to your help that night, I asked you to have a meal, but you didn't go yet. The day after Li Jie sent Zhou to the hospital, when he went to take elective classes on Thursday night, Zhou returned the medical expenses to him and said that he would treat him to dinner to thank him for his help last night. Seeing that Zhou insisted on a treat, Li Jie declined and then agreed. However, a few days later, on the day of dinner, He Zhigang and Zhang Yu failed to express their love. When Li Jilin went to the appointment in the evening, He Zhigang insisted on taking him to drink together. So Li Jie didn't go to eat, but just called Zhou and explained. It's me who broke the promise. I'll treat you to a treat next time I get the chance. Next time, how many times have you said next time? Zhou said with a slight smile. By the way, Li Jie, do you want some coffee? I'm going to make coffee. Can I make you a cup by the way? Zhou took out a book, pencil case, thermos cup, and several bags of instant coffee from the black skull bag. Thank you, no need, Li Jie doesn't usually drink tea or coffee. He is more accustomed to drinking plain water or lemonade. Let's have a drink, Zhou said with a smile. It's a bit cold tonight. Let's warm up with a cup of hot drink. Okay, excuse me, Ziu. Seeing Zhou's enthusiasm, Li Jie didn't refuse. Why are you so polite? Zhou tore open 2 bags of instant coffee, poured them into her and Li Jie's thermos cups, and then took the cups to the lobby to find a water dispenser to get water. Please vote, collect, and support. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 104. The boy sitting at the opposite table kept looking back at Zhou from time to time. Seeing that Zhou was so beautiful, had such a good personality, and was so gentle, and took the initiative to help Li Jie fetch water and make coffee, he couldn't help but be envious. The boy took another look at his girlfriend, who had always had a cold face next to him, and found that she was looking at him. The girl stared at her boyfriend and said coldly, "Have you seen enough? He is very good looking, right?" "No, I didn't." The boy quickly explained. The girl sneered and said, "Give you a chance to show off. The water in my cup is gone. Go get some water too." Okay, the boy stood up quickly as if he had received an amnesty, picked up his girlfriend's water glass, and was about to fetch water. "No," the girl said coldly, "why are you really going?" Hearing this, the boy quickly put down his cup and sat down. The boy opposite couldn't help laughing. The girl glanced at him and said coldly, "Why are you laughing? Is it funny?" Then, the boy opposite also stopped laughing immediately. Li Jie looked at the scene and couldn't help but feel secretly amused. This girl is really good at taming husbands. In fact, it was not only the boy at the opposite table who was peeking at her, but the boy opposite Li Jie and the boys nearby were also peeking at her. It can be said that since Zhou came, the quality of these boys' studies has seriously declined, and they don't have much time to read. Moreover, not only boys, but also some girls couldn't help but look at her. A few minutes later, Zhou came back with 2 thermos cups. "Drink it while it's hot. It won't taste good when it's cold." "Thank you." Li Jie took his thermos cup and took a sip. After taking a sip of coffee, I felt warm in my stomach, which was indeed quite comfortable. As for the taste, For people with relatively low taste like Li Jie, there is not much difference between ground coffee and instant coffee. In fact, instant coffee even tastes better. Maybe it's because spices and flavors are added to instant coffee? After finishing a cup of hot coffee in 3 or 5 sips, Li Jie felt that his body was a little warm and he was very energetic. He mustered up the energy to continue typing. Zhou was sipping coffee and slowly flipping through a notebook. After spending more than half an hour coding most of the remaining chapters, Li Jie breathed a sigh of relief and stretched his hands up comfortably. I don't know whether it was because he drank a cup of hot coffee or it was stuffy because there were too many people in the study room. Li Jie felt a little hot, so he took off his sports coat. Li Jie, have you finished writing? Zhou glanced at him. I've finished writing a chapter. Li Jie smiled. What's the matter? Well, something happened. I also tried to write a few chapters of the novel. Could you please help me read it? Have you written a novel? Li Jie was a little surprised, but also a little interested. Okay. Of course. Seeing that Li Jie agreed, Zhou pushed the notebook on the table to Li Jie. Li Jie took the notes and started reading them. I discovered that the novel written by Zhou is about youth romance, and it only has less than 30 pages, about 10,000 words. The plot of the novel is that the female protagonist Shenyu grew up in a single-parent family. She is introverted, has low self-esteem, is sensitive, and has no sense of security. After she entered high school, she met the male protagonist Zhou Yiyang, who came from a well-off family and was cheerful. Li Jie felt that the plot was a bit like A River of Sadness and a bit like So You're Still Here, but the story was too thin. Moreover, although Zhou's writing style is quite good, he still makes many common mistakes for novices, such as too much rhetoric, too much psychological description, unclear character personality, etc. Li Jie suddenly felt something in his heart. He opened the browser and searched for So You're Still Here. He found that this book had been serialized online in 2006. Then he searched for Sadness Counters the River and found that this book was actually written by Guo Guo. Xiaoxi's novel has been published. Li Jie had seen the movie version of Sadness Against the River in his previous life, but he really didn't know that it was adapted from Guo Xiaoxi's novel. After closing the browser, Li Jie looked at Zhou and found that she was looking at him expectantly. What do you think of what I wrote? Not bad. But there are many problems. The main reason is that the story is still too thin. At this point, Li Jie paused and said, Zhou, are you really interested in writing novels? Zhou explained with a smile, well, actually my wish when I was a child was to be a writer. When I was in junior high school, I submitted a lot of manuscripts to magazines for boys and girls, but I never got any published, so I gave up on it. I saw you writing a book online, and so many people liked it, so I got the idea again. I also wanted to publish a novel online. It doesn't matter whether I make money or not. As long as people are willing to read it, I will be happy. Zhou, I can write you an outline of the novel, and then you can write according to the outline, and I can help you revise the finished manuscript. And when this book is written, you can also upload it to the internet. The authorship rights and royalties are all yours. You just need to give me the comic and film adaptation rights of the novel. I don't know if you are willing. Already. Li Jie has a lot of romance and youth-themed ideas in his mind, but this type of novel is not suitable for him to write, and he cannot write the delicate feeling of girls. At this time, the appearance of Zhou gave Li Jie the idea of cultivating a beautiful writer himself. If Zhou were to write a book with her looks, if she were not a beautiful writer, there would be no beautiful writers. As long as the things she writes are not too bad, and with her face, I don't know how many men will rush to buy her books, and if they are promoted and packaged, she will be a beautiful idol writer. Of course I am willing. Hearing this, Zhou was stunned for a moment and said in surprise. Don't talk about the adaptation copyright, as long as there is no royalties. But, Li Jie, are you really willing to write an outline for me? Li Jie nodded. I'll write a brief outline first. How about you reading the story? After speaking, he created a new document on his computer and began to write the outline of the novel. Li Jie was typing on the keyboard quickly with both hands, and lines of words appeared quickly on the document. In less than half an hour, he had finished writing a 2,000-word outline that included the main characters and the plot line. Okay, Ziyu, you can take a look. Li Jie pushed the computer in front of Zhou Ziyu. Li Jie, you write too fast, Zhou Ziyu sighed, and then started to read the outline. She seemed to be a little short-sighted, so she leaned her head against the computer screen. A slight smile is alluring. That's right, the outline of the novel Li Jie wrote for Zhou Ziyu was A Smile is Alluring. Of course, he wrote the TV series version and he has not read the original novel. Li Jie is going to let Zhou Ziyu try writing a novel first. If she really has the potential, he will sign her. If it doesn't work, forget it. Thanks to Wanyan6 and 98 for their many rewards, and thanks to bookfriend 16090905105883 for his 500-point reward. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 105. Zhou Ziyu looked at it very seriously, with an extremely focused expression. Li Jie's eyes fell on her white neck and charming face, and his mind couldn't help but wonder. Such a good-looking girl, I really don't know who will take advantage of her in the future. Is your story about online dating? Zhou Ziyu turned around after reading the outline. Yes, how do you feel? Li Jie also came back to his senses. It's indeed much more interesting than the story I conceived. However, there are some parts that I still don't quite understand. What don't you understand? Here Zhou Ziyu asked, pointing to a paragraph on the outline. Because she was too close to the screen, it blocked the outline, so Li Jie leaned his head over. For a moment, the two of them were head to head, very close to each other. Smelling Zhou Ziyu's delicious perfume, Li Jie couldn't help but feel a little distracted. At first, he was still explaining very seriously, but gradually became absent-minded. Zhou Ziyu seemed not to notice anything unusual about him at all, focusing entirely on the outline and raising some questions from time to time. After all, the 2,000-word outline is too brief, and many things are not clearly stated. Li Jie's attention was completely attracted by Zhou Ziyu's charming face, fair and tender face, long eyelashes, straight nose, rosy cherry lips, slender white neck, soft and loose hair. Li Jie felt that his mouth was a little dry and his whole body was getting hotter. He wanted to look away, but he was a little reluctant to let go. Zhou Ziyu's red lips were particularly attractive. The pink lipstick was very beautiful, which made him look very beautiful. He wanted to taste the lipstick. What you wrote here means that Cao Guang also likes Bai Weiwei, right? When asked another question, Zhou Ziyu noticed that Li Jie had not spoken for a long time. He turned around and saw Li Jie staring at him with fiery eyes. He couldn't help but be stunned. For a moment, the two looked at each other, their noses touching, as if time had stood still. When Li Jie came back to his senses, he was about to stand up and distance himself. However, at this moment, Zhou Ziyu bit his lip, showing a flustered and shy look, and then slowly closed his eyes. Li Jie felt a bang in his head and his blood surged up. Zhou Ziyu's charming and shy expression was so captivating that he could no longer control himself and kissed those beautiful lips without thinking. Although there was a computer screen in front of Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu, the scene of the two kissing was still seen by the boy opposite who had been peeking at Zhou Ziyu. The boy was stunned for a moment, shocked, unbelievable, and envious. Jealousy, sourness, all kinds of emotions emerged at the same time. He shouted in his mind, "Push him away and give him a slap." But what disappointed the boy was that Zhou Ziyu not only did not push Li Jie away, but also hugged his neck cooperatively. Zhou Ziyu's lips were soft, runny, and had a hint of sweetness. Li Jie subconsciously wanted to ask for more, but before he could go any further, Zhou Ziyu took the initiative to open his mouth slightly. But at this moment, Li Jie suddenly woke up and suddenly let go of Zhou Ziyu, widening the distance between the two. Since meeting Zhou Ziyu for the first time at a social gathering, scenes of what had happened in the past month or so flashed through Li Jie's mind, and he suddenly understood it completely. Li Jie stood up, glanced at Zhou Ziyu, and said softly, "Ziyu, come out with me." After that, he left the study room first. Zhou Ziyu looked at Li Jie's back, stood up slowly, and left the study room with him. When he came to the hall outside and found a deserted corner, Li Jie looked at Zhou Ziyu and first apologized sincerely to her. "Ziyu, I'm sorry. I was impulsive just now and I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry for that. If you're angry, just slap me as hard as you can." Zhou Ziyu glanced at him, his expression a little disappointed and sad. "Li Jie, you don't need to apologize. You also know that I'm not angry with you. In fact, I don't blame you. I was tempted first. Of course I know this is wrong. You already have a girlfriend, but I still can't control it." "Ziyu," Li Jie interrupted Zhou Ziyu and smiled gently at her, "thank you. To be honest, I feel very happy and honored to be favored by you. After all, you are such an outstanding person. Girls, I don't know how many boys like you. But like you said, I already have Xiaoqiao, and I don't want to hurt her, and I don't want to hurt you, so we should just be friends." Zhou Ziyu looked at him deeply for a few seconds, then smiled lightly, nodded and said, "Okay. Then we will still be friends in the future, right?" "Yes, we are still friends." Li Jie also smiled at her. The two returned to the study room again. Li Jie no longer gave Zhou Ziyu an outline or code words. Instead, he picked up the book and read for a while, and then started to pack his things. "Li Jie, are you going back?" Zhou Ziyu glanced at him and asked. "Well, it's already past 9 o'clock. I have to go exercise for a while, so I'll go back first." "Okay, then I'll see you in the elective class tomorrow." Li Jie was stunned for a moment, then remembered that tomorrow was Thursday, and it was time to take the elective course on appreciation of modern domestic films. After coming out of the library, Li Jie couldn't help but sigh. He had lived for more than 30 years in vain, and he was almost tricked by a little girl. What you thought was a chance encounter was someone else's long-planned approach. They meet by chance in an elective class, a hero saves a beauty on the football field, and they gradually understand each other and fall in love with each other. Then they meet like-minded people in the library, and they can't help but fall in love with each other with a kiss. It is really more idle drama than idle drama. If you really agree, then the more beautiful the woman, the better she is at lying. If Li Jie hadn't been a person with low self-esteem, and if he hadn't seen too many routines in writing novels, he would have really wanted to use Zhou Ziyu's routine. What does it mean? The smartest hunters often appear as prey, this is it. For any young boy, he must have been tricked into it without realizing it. He thought he was charming, lucky, and had met his true love. But even though he realized that he was almost tricked by Zhou Ziyu, it was still difficult for Li Jie to have a bad feeling towards her. What bad thoughts can Sister T have? They just want to find a man to rely on. And which man can refuse such a considerate T girl? Perhaps even if they know it's a trick, few men can resist this gentle trap. Li Jie sighed in his heart. In fact, for a moment, he was really tempted and wanted to go against Zhou Ziyu's trick, teach her a lesson, eat her up, and run away after taking advantage of her. But Li Jie didn't dare. The price of indulgence was that he might lose Xiaoqiao. How can such a T-girl be so easy to mess with? It's easy to take advantage of, but it will be difficult to escape. Therefore, it is better to provoke less. Keep asking for votes, favorites, and support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Lee Yuen-jet. Chapter 106. Lee Je decided to avoid Josiu in the future, not because he was afraid of her, but because he overestimated his own strength. In the study room just now, although Josiu deliberately seduced her, he was also attracted to her. Lee Je finally recognized himself. He was just an ordinary person who couldn't help but be tempted. When he saw a beautiful woman, he couldn't help but have his own thoughts, especially after he had money. What does it mean that men become bad when they have money? This is him. First it was Lucayu, and this time it was Josiu. If this continues, something will happen sooner or later. Therefore, in the future, not only Josiu, but also beautiful girls other than Xiao Qiao should have less contact. The library is at the north gate, and a BMW 530i is parked in the parking lot not far away. Li Je came to the car, greeted the security guard, opened the back door first, threw his backpack on the back seat, and then sat down. Got into the driver's seat. As he drove towards the girls' dormitory, he dialed Xiao Qiao's phone number. Husband, Xiao Qiao was still watching TV dramas. When she saw that it was Li Je's call, she answered the call. She had no idea that her home had almost been robbed just now. Qiao Bao, get dressed and go downstairs. I'll drive over to pick you up. What's the matter? Xiao Qiao was a little surprised. It's nothing, I just miss you a little and want you to chat with me tonight. When Xiao Qiao heard this, he couldn't help but laugh. Hubby, are you talking seriously? Seriously, let's just do it together and chat. Doing a chat? The president understood immediately, bit his lower lip, smiled and said in a seductive tone, okay, then we will talk until dawn. When it comes to driving, how could she be afraid of Li Je? Ahem, Li Je, who was driving, almost turned the steering wheel. Chat till dawn? He didn't know if Xiao Qiao could bear it, but he certainly couldn't. It's going to trap people to death. When Zhang Qiang saw Xiao Qiao answering the phone, she smiled happily and began to change clothes. She couldn't help but ask, Xiao Qiao, Li Je asked you to go out again. Xiao Qiao, are you too spoiled to him? What's wrong? Xiao Qiao looked at her strangely. You can't agree as soon as Li Je calls you. As a girl, you have to be more reserved and not be too proactive. Zhang Qiang couldn't stand it. Xiao Qiao smiled and said, why are you pretending to be reserved? We are boyfriend and girlfriend. Isn't it normal to do this kind of thing? Zhang Yu glanced at Zhang Qiang and sneered, Zhang Qiang, as a single cat, if you don't understand this matter between lovers, don't get involved in it. Li Je also has needs, okay? Please advise me. Qiao is reserved. If Li Je is seduced by another woman and runs away, are you responsible? After saying that, she said to Xiao Qiao, let me remind you that Tan Hui's roommate Josiu has been a little close to Li Je recently. You'd better be on guard against her. That girl is not simple. Li Je is really a famous figure in school. If he gets closer to any pretty girl, gossip will easily spread. Xiao Qiao listened thoughtfully and said, thank you, Xiao Yu, I understand. In front of the fourth floor, Li Je waited for less than 5 minutes when he saw Xiao Qiao running out of the building. Li Je took 2 steps forward and hugged her tightly. Husband, what's wrong with you? Are you worried? Xiao Qiao felt that something was wrong with Li Je's mood. It's okay, Li Je smiled at her. He actually felt quite sorry for Xiao Qiao. Xiao Qiao's reputation in the previous life was indeed not very good, but after Xiao Qiao was with him in this life, he was single-minded and showed no pretense to other boys. He didn't even have a familiar male classmate. On the contrary, he first had an affair with Lu Kaiu, and today he almost got into trouble with Zhou Ziyu. He was really a bit of a scumbag. After Xiao Jiao got in the car, he took off his shoes and put his legs on the center console. Li Jie took a look at her little feet wearing white socks, smiled and joked, "Jiao Bao, have you washed your feet tonight? Why do I feel a sour smell in the car suddenly?" After saying that, he made a show of sniffing with his nose. Xiao Jiao looked at Li Jie and felt angry and funny. "Oh," he pretended to say, "after hearing what you said, I remembered that I really forgot to wash my feet tonight. Can you smell it for me? Really a little sour." As she spoke, she stretched one foot toward his face. When Li Jie saw this, he subconsciously avoided it. This time Xiao Jiao quit. "What are you hiding from?" "Okay, Li Jie, do you dislike me?" After the two were arguing for a while, Xiao Jiao suddenly asked casually, "Husband, I heard that you have been very close to Zhou recently, is that right?" Li Jie was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "It's not that we're close, it's just that she and I both took the same elective course, so we bump into each other occasionally." Xiao Jiao smiled and nodded, "That's right." In the study room. After Li Jie left, Zhou Ziyu bit her lip and seemed a little disappointed, but she quickly returned to normal. She read for a while longer, and at 10 o'clock, she packed up her things and left the study room. Seeing Zhou Ziyu leaving, the boy sitting opposite him hesitated for a moment, then followed him out of the study room and chased after him. "Wait a minute," the boy caught up with Zhou Ziyu in the hall. Zhou Ziyu turned around and glanced at him, "Classmate, are you okay?" The boy's eyes flinched, but he still mustered up the courage to say, "Classmate, you are Zhou Ziyu, an English major, right? I am also a freshman, a history major. My name is Zhu Xiaoyuan." "Hello, classmate Zhu Xiaoyuan. What do you want from me?" Zhou Ziyu seemed to understand something. Zhu Xiaoyuan was a very energetic, sunny, and cheerful boy in the eyes of the girls in his class, but he had no confidence at all in front of Zhou Ziyu. Not only does he look shy, but he also hesitates when speaking. "I just want to tell you, Li Jie has a girlfriend, Xiao Jiao, who majors in tourism management." Zhou Ziyu's expression remained unchanged. "Thank you for your kindness. I know he has a girlfriend." Hearing this, Zhu Xiaoyuan obviously didn't understand and was a little disappointed. "You know he has a girlfriend, so you still let him bully you?" "What I want to do is my own business. It has nothing to do with you, classmate, right?" Zhou Ziyu said lightly and was about to leave. Bang, for a moment, something seemed to be broken in Zhu Xiaoyuan's heart. He shouted angrily and unwillingly, "You like Li Jie just because he has a lot of money? Is it possible to sell yourself for money?" Zhou Ziyu frowned and stopped. She turned back to look at Zhu Xiaoyuan and smiled. Her innocent and charming look made Zhu Xiaoyuan feel a little distracted. "You like me, right?" "I." Zhu Xiaoyuan did not expect Zhou Ziyu to ask directly. He was startled and his eyes were a little evasive. Thanks to Wanyan 6 for her many tips, thanks to her for just drinking soy milk, and thanks to the imaginary boss for the 1,500-point tip. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 107. Why, you dare not admit it, Zhou Ziyu's tone seemed a bit disdainful. Provoked by Zhou Ziyu, Zhu Xiaoyuan said loudly, "Yes, I like you, can't I?" "What do you like me?" "I." Zhu Xiaoyuan hesitated again. "Can't you tell me?" "Do you like me just because I'm pretty?" Zhou Ziyu said with a smile. "That's different. I really like you, but Li Jie has a girlfriend and he's half-hearted." Zhu Xiaoyuan was unconvinced and retorted excitedly. "Half-hearted? His half-heartedness is better than yours," Zhou Ziyu said in her heart. She suddenly felt a little regretful. What had happened to her? Why should she compete with a little boy? You don't understand. Josio shook his head slightly and turned around to leave without any intention of saying anything more. Walking out of the library door, Josio smiled to himself. I'm afraid that in Lige's heart, he also thought that she was totally here for his money, right? She originally wanted to leave a good impression on him, but now it seems that it was a bit self-defeating. Lige was more difficult to deal with than she expected. Small hotel, in the room. Lige and Xiao Jiao lay hugging each other after a fierce fight. Xiao Jiao was so exhausted that her hair was wet with sweat. She lay in Lige's arms and didn't want to move or even say anything. Now Lige no longer gave Xiao Jiao a chance to take a break, and directly pulled her to play the whole game. In the second half, when she lost strength, he took her to exercise. Lige pulled the quilt to cover Xiao Jiao, and then used a towel to wipe the sweat from her face. The weather was cold and there was no air conditioning in the small hotel room. He was really afraid that she would get sick. After resting for 5 or 6 minutes, Xiao Jiao regained his composure a little, put his little head on Lige's chest, looked up at him with a smile. Husband, why are you so brave today? Could it be that you got the medicine? Lige opened a bottle of water and was drinking it. After hearing her words, he spurted out a mouthful of water. He couldn't help but feel angry and funny. He is less than 20, so there is no need to take medicine. Besides, with Xiao Jiao's small body, if he really took the medicine, he might have to send her to the hospital. Jiao Bao, if you find it hard, don't force it. I can help you find a sister to share the burden, Lige joked with a smile. You dare? Xiao Jiao became anxious upon hearing this. Lige, let me tell you, if you dare to cheat, I will cheat. Pa, Lige slapped her little butt hard. This president really dared to say anything. Ah! Lige, how dare you hit me? Xiao Jiao subconsciously covered her butt. Who told you to talk nonsense? You say such things casually. You were the one who told me that you cheated on me first, and you didn't allow me to say it, Xiao Jiao said aggrievedly. She said that the circles under her eyes were a little red. Seeing her little appearance, Lige couldn't help but feel distressed again. He hugged her gently and comforted her and said, Okay, I'm joking, don't take it seriously. Lige, if you dare to cheat, I will break your legs, Xiao Jiao threatened. Okay, Li Jackson said, President, as long as you don't step out of the wall and don't take the hatchet, you can do anything. Jiao Bao, let's rent a house after a while, Li Jie said suddenly. Didn't you say you wouldn't rent? Xiao Jiao was a little surprised. It's better to rent one. It's too inconvenient to come to a small hotel all the time. Many times, men have many crooked thoughts, and it is really due to physical reasons for men in the Sage period. Beautiful women are not very attractive. For example, Li Jie is holding Xiao Jiao in his arms now, and his thoughts are extremely pure. Therefore, in order to get rid of the trouble, Li Jie could only choose to let Xiao Jiao work harder. Jiao Bao, I'm going to have to work harder on you in the future, Li Jie sighed. Xiao Jiao. What does he mean? Vomit. Xiao Jiao suddenly felt his stomach churning, feeling nauseous, and couldn't help but vomit. Jiao Bao, what's wrong with you? Li Jie asked worriedly. I don't know, I just felt sick suddenly and wanted to vomit. As soon as Xiao Jiao finished speaking, he felt like vomiting again. He quickly came to the bed and started vomiting again in the trash can. Li Jie patted Xiao Jiao's back, hoping she would feel better. After vomiting a few more times and spitting out sour water, Xiao Jiao felt less uncomfortable. Li Jie helped her rinse her mouth with water and asked with concern, What's wrong? Did you eat something bad? No, I haven't eaten anything. Then apart from feeling sick, what other physical discomforts do you have? I just feel a little dizzy and have no strength. Are you feeling a little unwell today? A little bit. Then why didn't you say anything? Li Jie sighed. If he had known that Xiao Jiao was not feeling well, he would not have bullied her. Xiao Jiao smiled and said, I'm just a little lackluster, but I don't take it seriously. Li Jie hugged her and kissed her cheek. Next time you feel a little uncomfortable, tell me. Don't hold on just because you don't want to spoil my mood. Do you understand? Xiao Jiao looked sideways at Li Jie and said in a worried and uncertain tone, Husband, do you think I am pregnant? Li Jie and her looked at each other. This was really possible. Because the two of them rarely take precautions, Xiao Jiao doesn't like, and feels uncomfortable, and Li Jie certainly doesn't like it either, so although Li Jie, the probability of winning is still very high. As for letting Xiao Jiao take medicine, it's medicine that's 3 parts poison. Who can guarantee that it won't hurt your body at all? Husband, what if I'm really pregnant? Li Jie touched her head and comforted her, it's okay. If you're pregnant, just give birth. Ah, Xiao Jiao shouted, but I don't want to have a baby so early. There's nothing you can do about it, you just have to admit it. Li Jie tapped her forehead. At that time, we will both take a year off from school, and then I will send you abroad to give birth to the child. As for your parents, I can only come to your door to plead guilty, and accept the punishment and let them do whatever they want. In addition, although I'm not old enough to hold it yet, I can hold the wedding first. Li Jie is not worried about Xiao Jiao's parents. This kind of intellectual family with strict upbringing is unlikely to force their daughter to abort the child if they have a choice. As long as he has a sincere attitude, if you are willing to take responsibility, you can only hold your nose and admit it. However, within a few years, his son-in-law may no longer be pleasing to his eyes. As for the child's household registration issue, fortunately, there is still one opportunity to change the household registration before adulthood. Li Jie will definitely not be short of money in the future, and there is no need for his children to be second-class citizens abroad. Husband, how come you think so comprehensively? Xiao Jiao said movedly. Seeing that Li Jie had planned everything, she immediately felt relieved. Please recommend, please collect, and please support. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 108. Husband, when you heard that I was pregnant, you didn't panic at all. Aren't you scared? Xiao Jiao was really a little scared just now, afraid that Li Jie would say something that would disappoint her. Why should I be panicking or afraid? I should be happy, Li Jie said with a smile. He was already in his 30s, and he wasn't really a young boy. How could he be so flustered and scared when he heard that his girlfriend was pregnant? He didn't take responsibility and shirked his responsibilities. That's right, Li Jie suddenly thought of a key question, Jiao Bao, when did your relatives come last? More than 10 days ago. Normal, no delay. No. Li Jie couldn't help but sigh, what a mess. Xiao Jiao also reacted and said happily, so I'm not pregnant. She really doesn't want to have a baby right now? It's probably because you're not pregnant. You're probably sick. I'll take you to the hospital tomorrow for a checkup. Husband, are you a little unhappy? Xiao Jiao noticed that Li Jie looked a little disappointed. No, Li Jie smiled at her, you're still young now, so it's good to play for a few more years. Li Jie really thought about it just now. It would be good to just guard Xiao Jiao and the child for the rest of his life. Xiao Jiao is such a good girl. What else can you not be satisfied with if you have her? And with a family and children, he also has the belief to resist temptation. The next morning, Li Jie called to ask for leave, and then drove Xiao Jiao to the hospital. I registered, paid, and took a test, and found out that I was not pregnant. The doctor opposite looked at the examination report and said, it's just a slight case of gastritis. As he spoke, he glanced at Xiao Jiao and said, don't you have a bad appetite and are a bit picky about food? I have a bit of a bad appetite and am a bit picky about food, Xiao Jiao whispered. She's also very willing to drink Coke. Li Jie glanced at her and said, she's very willing to drink Coke. Xiao Jiao glared at him threateningly. You should not drink Coca-Cola in the future. Carbonated drinks can irritate the gastric mucosa and can easily aggravate the condition. Moreover, your disease is probably caused by long-term consumption of carbonated drinks, the doctor said. I'll prescribe some medicine for you and take it home. You should also pay attention to your diet in the future and eat more light, nutritious and easy to digest food. Then, the doctor said a lot of things that need to be paid attention to in diet. After coming out of the hospital, Xiao Jiao was a little listless. It's over, you can't even drink more Coke from now on. Li Jie gave her a funny look and corrected him, it's not that you drink less, it's that you can't drink Coke in the future, at least until you recover. Ah, Xiao Jiao shouted. She made a pitiful little expression, hugged Li Jie's arm and begged, saying, husband, please be accommodating and let me have one cup every day. Okay, please. Don't talk about a cup, not even a sip. No matter how coquettishly and begged Xiao Jiao was, Li Jie remained unmoved. She usually spoils her by being coquettish, but now he is harming her by spoiling Xiao Jiao. Seeing that the coquettish tactic was useless, Xiao Jiao threw his arm away and ignored him. Also, don't think about drinking secretly. If the condition becomes serious, you will have to be hospitalized for injections, Li Jie said, giving her vaccinations in advance. He knew that Xiao Jiao was most afraid of injections. Okay, I won't drink anymore, Xiao Jiao said reluctantly. Li Jie stretched out his hand and hugged her over again, coaxing and saying, okay, don't be awkward. It's not like I won't let you drink all the time. Once you recover from your illness, I can let you have a drink every day, okay? It would be a blessing in disguise if he could use this opportunity to get Xiao Jiao to change his bad habit of drinking Coke without restraint. It's around 9 p.m. When Huo Lily returned to the dormitory, she saw Zhou Ziyu sitting alone at the desk, tearing up paper. Just tear a piece of 16-karat paper in half, fold it up, then tear the folded paper in half, and then fold the paper again. Tear like this again and again until it can't be torn anymore. Huo Lily gave her a strange look. Ziyu, why are you tearing the paper? Are you in a bad mood? No, I just tore it apart for fun. Zhou Ziyu smiled and said slowly and softly. No, you must have something on your mind. Huo Lily didn't believe it. Really not. When Zhou Ziyu went to teach the elective course on the second floor tonight, she unexpectedly met Xiao Jiao, who came to teach the elective course instead of Li Jie. And when she went to the football field again, she found that Li Jie didn't come to practice either. Zhou Ziyu suddenly realized that Li Jie was deliberately avoiding her. This man who doesn't keep his word. What she said sounded nice, and the two of them were still friends, but in the end, they turned around and avoided her like a snake or a scorpion. Is she really that scary? Zhou Ziyu also expected that a traditional and conservative boy like Li Jie would not be easy to deal with. Such boys have a strong sense of responsibility. As long as they identify someone, they will be responsible to the end. They also have a bottom line to stick to and consciously resist external temptations. But Li Jie's vigilance was a bit too strong, as if he had been persecuted by someone. The first time she encountered Li Jie by chance in an elective course, Zhou Ziyu discovered that Li Jie was a little wary of her. She couldn't understand what he was wary of. She was a beautiful woman and not a bad person. Later, although Li Jie's defensiveness was relieved by the semi-accidental incident of Hero Save Beauty, he was still very resistant to contact with her. Fainting was really unexpected. Zhou Ziyu originally just wanted to pretend to be sick, but she didn't expect that she passed out due to excessive dieting and even hurt her face. It was really a fake turned out to be real. She invited Li Jie to dinner as a thank you, but he resisted and even changed his mind before going to the appointment. Josie really envied Xiaoqiao. It was the first time she met a boy like Li Jie, who keeps himself safe for his girlfriend. Just like last night in the library, she clearly realized that Li Jie could no longer control himself and was tempted, but in the end he still firmly rejected her. This is the first time Josie has enjoyed this kind of treatment. This is the first time in her life that she has been rejected by a boy. Are you afraid that I will break up you and Xiaoqiao? Josie said in her heart. In fact, she didn't want to be a bad woman and destroy Li Jie's bottom line. Once something like the bottom line is lost, broken, there will be a second time if there is a first time. Josie didn't want to be the initiator. It's a pity that she is not Xiaoqiao or Tan Hui. It was too late for her to meet Li Jie. If she didn't grab it, she and Li Jie would have to miss it. The more she gets along with Li Jie, the more she feels that he is reliable. Josie really doesn't want to miss such a good boy, so she has decided to grab this guy. Josie stood up and threw the shredded paper in his hand into the trash can. She decided to let it go for now. The closer she chased him, the more vigilant Li Jie became and the more he avoided her. Moreover, Josie discovered that Li Jie's belief was Xiaoqiao, and she still underestimated Li Jie's love for this girl. As long as Xiaoqiao is here, she has absolutely no chance. So, all we have to do is wait. Thanks to Wanyan 6, Tao Luoduo, and Le Sheng Sheng for their many rewards. Thanks to Gongguan number 1, Fenling Muo, and 135572958666956390 for their rewards. Thank you for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 109. Li Jie said he wanted to rent a house, and within 2 days he rented a one-bedroom apartment on the second floor on a small commercial street. The building is self-built by villagers. The one-bedroom apartment Li Jie rents is about 50 square meters. The decoration is pretty good and has common household appliances such as a TV, refrigerator, air conditioner, washing machine, and water heater. The monthly rent is 350 yuan. Of course, there are cheaper houses. There are many houses in the village that cost 1 or 200 yuan, but the decoration and layout are relatively poor. After renting a house, Li Jie and Xiaoqiao lived a semi-cohabitation life. What is semi-cohabitation? That is, except for going to class and going back to the dormitory at night, the two of them stayed in the rental house together the rest of the time. And when the weekend came, the two simply lived together and didn't even go back to the dormitory at night. Xiaoqiao also likes to stay in a rental house. The conditions here are better than the dormitory. It also has air conditioning, a refrigerator, and a water heater. Li Jie also bought a microwave oven and an induction cooker, so the two of them can cook their favorite meals when they have time. Several people in the dormitory were also envious of Li Jie's cohabitation life. In particular, He's Higang was extremely envious. He was the only single person in the dormitory now. Lin Jing has Chen Wenjing, Wang Haiheng, and He Lu. Li Jie and Xiaoqiao are living together, and even Yang Hao has caught up with Qiunana. That's right, Yang Hao is also single. After chasing Huo Lily for more than a month, he gave up decisively after realizing that there was no chance of her, and set his sights on Qiunana, who was even less good-looking. In fact, there is no absolute good or bad in the world, all good and bad are relative. For example, in the eyes of friends, a good friend who is loyal, friendly, and generous may be seen by his girlfriend and wife as a man who likes to spend money randomly, talks nonsense, and has no sense of responsibility. Yang Hao often gossips, plays tricks, lies, and likes to take advantage, which makes him very unpopular among boys. But in front of girls, he looks different. Although he is a little fatter, he looks very pleasant. He is attentive to girls, tries to please them in every way, and is no longer stingy and reluctant to spend money. What's more important is that Yang Hao is thick-skinned. No matter how other girls criticize him or make fun of him, he doesn't care at all. So Yang Hao licked her, but after chasing Chiunana for more than half a month, Chiunana really agreed and said that she could try dating. After having a girlfriend, Yang Hao stopped playing games and went to internet cafes. He hung around his girlfriend every day and was attentive to her. Although it's still at the stage of hugging and holding hands, if this continues, it won't be long before this kid takes over. To be honest, Li Jie really admired this guy Yang Hao. He was a dog licker, but he was very skilled in licking dogs. He could really lick his hands and lick everything to the end. His Higang was really a licker when he chased Zhang Yukai, and he licked him until he had nothing left. It can't even be said to be a licking dog, but a spare tire and a jack. He spent more than 2,000 yuan on Zhang Yu, but only held his hand a few times and never even hugged him. Another half-month has passed in the blink of an eye, and Christmas will be celebrated in 5 or 6 days. Since the showdown with Zhou in the library, Li Jie has never encountered her again. Li Jie was a little surprised by this. Did Zhou really listen to his words and decide to give up? While he was relieved, he was also slightly disappointed. Men have complicated minds. When faced with temptation, their minds are agitated and full of scruples. They don't want to let go of their girlfriends, but when the temptation leaves, they feel desolate. To sum it up in one sentence, it is both turbulent and resistant. 18 That night, Li Jie took the elective course for the last time, the theory and application of Qigong. This elective course will end this week. During the class, Professor Chen first summarized the key points of knowledge that he had taught before, and then handed out papers to start the exam. There are very few questions in the paper, and the contents are all the knowledge points summarized just now. It is considered a semi-open book exam. As long as you listen carefully just now, you can basically pass it. After handing in the paper, Shen Xian left the classroom, only to find that Li Jie did not leave first, but stayed outside the classroom waiting for her. Li Jie, are you waiting for me? Shen Xinyi was a little surprised. Yeah, Li Jie smiled at her. Something happened. It's nothing, I'm just waiting for you to go with me. Okay, Shen Xian said with a smile. On the way back, both of them were silent, no one spoke. Li Jie glanced at the girl next to him. The elective class was over. Although they were in the same school, it would be difficult for them to meet again in the future. When he thought of this, he felt a little melancholy. Shen Xinyi really fits Li Jie's taste. She is cute, sweet, well-behaved, innocent, and like the sister next door, but the key is that she is a foodie. Li Jie especially likes girls who like to eat and their food tastes particularly delicious. Xiao Jiao obviously does not meet this point. In Li Jie's opinion, anyone who can have a girlfriend like Shen Xinyi is definitely lucky in life. Where can he find such a good girl from Chongqing? It's a pity that the order of appearance is really important between people. When he was just reborn and met Xiao Jiao on the school bus, many things were already decided. After meeting Shen Xinyi, Li Jie also wavered, but Song Qinjiao jumped out in advance, so the trajectory was set back again. Li Jie sometimes wondered, since he and Shen Xinyi were not destined to each other, why did he let him meet her? If he didn't meet her, there would be no more trouble. When passing by a small shopping mall, Li Jie said to Shen Xinyi, "Let's go, will you accompany me to the supermarket again?" As soon as Li Jie said he was going to the supermarket, Shen Xian burst out laughing, "You're not going to buy snacks again, are you? Last time you gave me that big bag of snacks, and the 6 of us in the dormitory ate it together for 2 or 3 days." The two of them went to the small supermarket in the mall together, and Li Jie bought some chocolate cakes, mango pudding, dried mango and other snacks that Shen Xinyi liked to eat. After paying the bill and coming out, he handed the snack bag to Shenzhenyi and said with a smile, "Here, help me get it." Shenzhenyi did not answer. "Li Jie, I was very embarrassed when I accepted so many snacks from you last time. I can't ask for more this time. Take it, I guess I won't have any chance to give you snacks again." Li Jie directly handed the snack bag into her arms. Shen Xian hesitated for a moment, then hugged the snack bag. After parting ways with Shen Xian, Li Jie watched her walk into the dormitory building and thought, maybe my fate with this girl will end here. Now that he had arrived at the dormitory area, Li Jie simply went back to the dormitory. When he walked into the dormitory, he found that no one else was there. Only He Zhigang was sitting in front of the computer playing games. After He Zhigang failed to confess his feelings to Zhang Yu, he turned his attention to games and went to an internet cafe every day to play games. Later, he found the internet fee too expensive, so he rented a computer and started playing in his dormitory. Please recommend, please pursue reading, and please support me. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 110. Jizi, it's not easy. You're actually back. He Zhigang looked surprised when he saw Li Jie back. After renting a house, Li Jie rarely went back to the dormitory. Every time, he would go back to the rental house directly after sending Xiao Jiao back to the girls' dormitory. After all, the environment in a rental house is quieter and there are no people to disturb you, making it more suitable for coding. The last time Li Jie returned to his dormitory was 4 or 5 days ago. "Brother Gang, where are the others?" Li Jie pulled up a chair and sat down next to him. "I went with my girlfriend." He Zhigang put down the game, took out a cigarette, lit one himself, and gave another one to Li Jie. "Jizi, let's play a game together later." He Zhigang was playing Dota. Li Jie took a puff of cigarette and said, "I didn't bring my computer." "It's okay, just use Lao Wang's. His computer is here." "Forget it, let's not play anymore." Li Jie really has no interest in games now. "Brother Gang, seeing that the exam is about to begin, you'd better put more thought into your review." Seeing that Li Jie refused to play, He Zhigang said a little depressed, "Jizi, now that you have moved out, Lao Wang and Hazi can't see anyone all day long, so I don't even have anyone to play ball or play games with me. By the way, how are Lao Wang and Hazi doing lately?" Li Jie asked casually. "The book written by Lao Wang did quite well, but I'm not very optimistic about him and He Lu. I feel that He Lu is hanging on Lao Wang, just like Zhang Yu is on me. I was taken in by Zhang Yu." After one lesson, He Zhigang obviously grew up a lot. Li Jie was a little surprised. "Why, Lao Wang hasn't hit a home run yet." "No, she's still on third base. But she spent a lot of money on He Lu, almost more than 10,000. If it weren't for the tight money, Lao Wang wouldn't want to write a novel." He Zhigang shook his head. "According to me, Lao Wang should just break up with He Lu. This woman is just treating him as her son." Li Jie glanced at He Zhigang and said to himself, "If you had been so sober back then, you wouldn't have been hung up by Zhang Yu for more than a month." However, he really didn't expect that Wang's Haiheng would also become a licking dog. "I remember, this guy lived a pretty cool life in his last life. With his handsomeness and some money at home, he quickly caught up with a girl in his class. After half a year, he dumped her and found another one who was more beautiful. Girlfriend. However, it's normal to think about it. Who hasn't done the humble dog-licking thing? Even tearing off onions is unavoidable, let alone an ordinary boy like Wang's Haiheng." In fact, Li Jie also licked Xiao Jiao a little, but he didn't think he was a licker. Just like Lu Chai's sister Li Gang, knowing that sister Li Gang lived with her mother and sister in an old building, Lu took action and gave her a 1,000-square-foot mansion worth more than 8 million yuan, actually only 100 square meters. "Don't be moved if you don't want to." Later, I heard that sister Li Gang said that the wardrobe she bought could not fit in the clothes, so Lu waved and bought a house worth 20 million for Sister Li Gang. Sister Li Gang said she was hungry in the middle of the night, so Lu went to buy rice rolls for her. When the elevator broke down, he climbed more than 20 floors to deliver the delicious food to Sister Li Gang. Sister Li Gang regretted that she had little education, so Lu specially hired university professors from abroad to teach her. In 1992, Sister Li Gang celebrated her birthday, and Lu even published a newspaper to express his love for her, which moved Sister Li Gang to tears. Has De Lu licked Sister Li Gang enough? But who would say that someone is a licker? Licking is just a way to chase a girl. Knowing that the other person is hanging on to you, but still having to lick her if you can't catch her is really called dog licking. What you can lick is not called dog licking, it's called keeping it private. If you want to retain a girl for a long time, especially a very beautiful girl, you really can't just rely on throwing money at her, your intentions are also very important. Sister Li Gang knew clearly how carefree De Lu was, and she still entangled with him for 10 years, spending her youth on each other, and did not leave until she was completely desperate. It was definitely not just because De Lu was rich. Brother Gang, don't worry about it. Lao Wang is not stupid, he won't fail to see it. With Wang's Haihang's intelligence, he could not fail to see He Lu's thoughts. The reason why he was still dragging on and refused to give up was simply because he felt that the sunk costs he had invested were too much. If he gave up, he felt that he was at a huge loss and was unwilling to give up. That's true, He's Higang nodded in agreement. However, he quickly reacted, no, Jizi, what do you mean? Are you saying I'm stupid? Li Jie said amusingly, I didn't say you were stupid. It was clearly you who took the position yourself. He's Higang sighed, I'm so humming stupid. Why did I fall in love with Zhang Yu back then? Jizi, you tried to persuade me, but I still couldn't listen. Now that I think about it, I really regret it. Li Jie put out the cigarette butt in the ashtray and did not answer the call. Jizi, what do you think if I go after Huo Menjian again now? He's Higang suddenly said after a moment of silence. Li Jie glanced at him speechlessly, not knowing what to say. If you go after Huo Menjian now, what will other girls think? You couldn't chase Zhang Yu, so you settled for the next best thing and came to chase me? I am not as good as Zhang Yu. Huo Menjian's conditions are no worse than Zhang Yu's. If it was still possible for He's Higang to pursue Huo Menjian before, now there is really no chance. Christmas Eve on the 24th. In the evening, Xiao Jiao rode her little red electric motorcycle back downstairs of the rental house and parked the motorcycle inside the doorway on the first floor. Xiao Jiao, you're back, the landlord Aunt Chen saw Xiao Jiao passing by and greeted her enthusiastically. She glanced at the gift bag in Xiao Jiao's hand, is this the holiday gift you prepared for Xiao Jie? Yeah, Xiao Jiao smiled and nodded. Auntie, I also wish you a happy Christmas Eve. As she said this, she took out an apple wrapped in colored paper from the gift bag and handed it to Aunt Chen. Aunt Chen didn't expect to receive a gift, and was a little surprised. Thank you, Xiao Jiao, you are so thoughtful. Xiao Jie is really lucky to find a girlfriend like you. After saying goodbye to Aunt Chen, Xiao Jiao went upstairs and returned to the house, where she found Li Jie apron cooking in the kitchen. Husband, I'm back. Li Jie glanced at her with a smile and said, go wash your hands first. You can eat soon. Today was the festival, so he stir-fried a few more dishes and made 8 dishes and 1 soup. Because Xiao Jiao's illness was not completely cured, the dishes were mainly light. After putting all the dishes on the table, Xiao Jiao came back after washing her hands. It's very rich, she took off her coat and hung it on the hanger, then sat down at the table. Li Jie also took off his apron and sat down opposite her. Where's your gift? Seeing Xiao Jiao picking up the chopsticks to pick up the food, Li Jie stopped her with a smile. By the way, I forgot to give you a gift. Xiao Jiao smiled and put down his chopsticks, stood up and picked up the gift bag placed aside. He took out another apple wrapped in colored paper and handed it to Li Jie. "Here, your gift." Li Jie looked at the apple in his hand and was very dissatisfied. "Qiao Bao, you just got an apple and sent me away. Thanks to Gao Laker and Wanyan 6 for the reward."